My name is Jake, welcome to the channel. In today's video, I want to talk about buying PepsiCo with a cash secured put versus a limit order. Now, when the stock market's at near all-time highs, or if you're the NASDAQ today here when I'm filming this video here on Wednesday the 11th, the NASDAQ just hit 20,000 for the first time. That was kind of a shocker for me, seeing that, year to date, it's up over 33%. I thought we were supposed to have a bear market and that, the economy was in the trash and all that good stuff. I guess it depends on who you ask, but, it's absolutely incredible to see the market at all-time highs. Now, this creates a challenge if you have money and you're looking to buy into the stock market. But I was having a conversation last week with my dad, and we were talking about buying different stocks. He owns a lot of midstream pipeline companies like EPD, ET, all that kind of stuff. And I was talking to him, he has money that is, coming, expiring in a CD, and he has money in some money market accounts. And with interest rates going down, he's looking to put some of that money to work. And we were talking about buying certain stocks or, different stocks that or ETFs that have a higher yield, something that he would be interested in. And then we started talking about cash secured puts versus limit orders. If you know that you're going to buy a stock anyways, why not consider a cash secured put? Now, true story, when I said, an option, he immediately kind of was turned off by that. No, son, I'm not doing any options. That's gambling. And I was just, because, he's scarred for life because he lost money years ago buying options, I think on renewable energy stocks or whatever. But no, I'm not talking about buying options. I'm talking about selling a cash secured put. It's a little bit different. If you know that you're going to buy a stock anyways, why not consider a cash secured put versus a limit order? Now, a lot of you probably know what a limit order is, and I'll show that here in a second, but there's some pretty big differences between a limit order and a cash secured put. And my dad and I were talking about this, and I was thinking, you know what? There's probably a lot of people out there that have never heard of this before. And so I wanted to make this video for all of you out there that have maybe done a limit order before and not really considered a cash secured put. So I'm making this video for you and also for my dad so that he can, really understand what it means to sell a cash secured put. And the example that I'm going to use in this video is PepsiCo. I think most people have heard of PepsiCo, and I haven't made a video on a single stock in quite a while. I try to stay away from recommending or talking positively about individual stocks because I don't want people to watch my videos and then go buy something. And if the market turns or, has a correction, I don't want people thinking of me when, that stock that I recommended or talked positively about in my video, I don't want people to think about me when the market turns. And so that's kind of a reason why I no longer talk about individual stocks. I haven't talked about individual stocks in, I think, almost 2 years or so now. So I don't really try to convince anybody or sell anybody on the idea of buying an individual stock or, that's just not what I really wanted to do on the channel, because let's be honest, there's enough videos out there on the internet of people trying to sell you the idea of a once-in-a-lifetime investment opportunity. And, it could look a little like this.
You buy this for $39.99, guess what, folks? You take the L away. You put a W there, baby. You're a winner, man. You're the real deal. You're picking up chicks. Let me tell you something. You buy this set at $39.99, baby, you're the of the walk, man. You walk into the bar and you just find the hottest chick and you go, you, me. Guess what? She says, why would I go out with you? Because I bought the deal on Wild West Deals for $39.99, that's why. She says, can I go home with you? That's how simple it is. That's how it works. That's what this set brings to the table. Because you know what she sees? She sees a man who knows what he wants. She sees a man who says, good deals don't get by me, baby. I move, I act quick, I act now. I go to wildwestdeals.com, boom. That's why you're hanging with chicks all night long. That's why you got guys like Michael Jordan calling you, wanting to hang out with you, baby, because you bought it for $39.99. Is that crazy? That's the way it works around here. This deal will change your life. Don't look at yourself in the mirror and be disgusted tomorrow. Don't look at yourself in the mirror and go, what's wrong with me? What is wrong with me? Why am I this way?
Gosh. Oh, that's how simple it is, guys. That's how it works. That is how it works. Gosh. Oh man. All right, cool. Okay, cool. So when looking at PepsiCo, I think most people are familiar with PepsiCo, and here on Seeking Alpha, you can capture all the important metrics that are important to you, right? The share price, the dividend metrics. This video is sponsored by Seeking Alpha. I love Seeking Alpha. They've been so great to me, and I've been using them for years. And so if you're a follower of the channel, you know I'm a huge fan of them. And so thank you, Seeking Alpha, for sponsoring this video. But I wanted to show you some quick things here, and then I'm going to dive into an actual example of selling a cash secured put on PepsiCo today at today's values versus a limit order and what that would look like. So using this example, let's say you have, a couple $1,000s in your brokerage account and you're looking to invest into a stock, whether it be PepsiCo or anything under the sun. You have the money and you're looking to set a limit order or a buy order for the stock. Okay. And you can look and see, okay, is now a good time to buy this stock? You can look at the historical chart, of the price, like how is the price traded over time? And when you're setting that limit order, you're like, okay, in the last 5 years, there's been resistance in the stock around that 153, 150 range. And so you're thinking to yourself, okay, you know what? I don't want to buy it at 156 as it's, priced today, but I do want to buy it. But you know what? I'd rather buy it at $150. I'd feel more comfortable buying it at $150. And you say, you know what? I'm going to do that. I'm going to set a limit order and I'm going to put the money aside and do that. So that's one option. Another option is to sell a cash secured put and actually get paid to wait to buy the shares. And I'll show that here in a minute. But one of the things that I want to highlight here is in Seeking Alpha, one of my favorite features of Seeking Alpha is when you're looking at a dividend stock and you're looking at the dividend metrics. And the first thing that you want to look at, if you're looking to invest a large sum of money, let's say you're not dollar cost averaging. Let's say you sell a rental property, you get stock, sell stock in your company, or you come into some money from whatever reason, right? So whenever I was in that situation where I had a lump sum of money that I was ready to invest, because the majority of the time I would just dollar cost average, so it wasn't very often, but when I did, I would always look at the 4-year average dividend yield. And you can see this here in Seeking Alpha under the dividend yield section, and you'll notice the 4-year average of PepsiCo has been under 3%. Okay, now remember this, under 3%, 2.75%. However, the forward dividend yield today is just under 3.5%. Okay, 3.5%. And if you look over the last 10 years, there's only been one other time where PepsiCo has yielded over a starting yield of over 3.5%. And that was the beginning of the pandemic in 2020. We all remember that time period, right? There was a ton of fear in the market. So you're getting the opportunity to purchase shares of PepsiCo with a forward dividend yield of right around the same time period as the pandemic. But I want to show you something really cool. Now, we talked about the example of the resistance being right around $150, where you would be comfortable buying shares of PepsiCo at $150 per share. Now, if you were to buy PepsiCo at $150 per share, let's use the example, let's say you had $10,000 and you divide that by the share price of $150. So you're going to get 66.66 shares. Okay. Now, in order to calculate the forward yield, well, what you're going to need to do is go back over here, go to the dividend scorecard, and what you're going to want to look at is the forward annual payout. Okay. And so you want to see, okay, these are the amount of shares that you're going to get for $10,000. So you take your 66 shares and then you times it by 5.42. This is the forward payout per share in the dividend, right? So that's going to give you 361. The way that I do it is 0.0 times it by 0.01. That's going to give you 3.61%. So your forward dividend yield, if you were to get assigned or if you were to buy shares of PepsiCo at $150, and at this current payout of $5.42 per share, what that would do is it would give you a forward yield of 3.61%. And that's how you look at this, and that's how you calculate the big picture of, yes, you're getting the shares at $150, but what does that mean in terms of the dividend? If you were to acquire the shares at $150 a piece, at the current payout of the dividend, you would have a forward dividend yield of 3.6%. One more thing that I want to show you really quick when it comes to Seeking Alpha Premium is the dividend grades. When you get Seeking Alpha Premium, you're going to get access to all of the dividend grades. I know there's other services out there that charge just for the dividend grades or the safety scores, but with Seeking Alpha Premium, you get that as part of your premium subscription. Maybe you know that, maybe you don't. So it is a really big added value in my opinion, and it's a way that you can track the safety of your dividends for your portfolio. So I just wanted to throw that out there. But yeah, thank you so much, Seeking Alpha, for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to the example of selling a cash secured put on PepsiCo versus a limit order. So now that you've decided and you come to the conclusion that you do want to buy PepsiCo, you want to buy PepsiCo, you're prepared to buy PepsiCo, you have the money set aside and you want to buy it, but you don't want to buy it at today's price of $156.90, give or take. And as I mentioned, you've looked at the chart and you're like, you know what? I am comfortable with right around $150. If PepsiCo drops to $150, I am absolutely willing to buy it. So the traditional way of how you've done this before, if you've never done this with selling a cash secure put, you go into your brokerage and you set a limit order. A limit order is that you define what price you are willing to buy shares of PepsiCo. And what you're doing is once you set this order, you are obligating yourself to purchase shares of PepsiCo at that defined price if the share price meets your limit price. Now, you could always cancel this order and terminate your obligation at any time before the order gets executed on. Okay, so it's a very, very important piece. You can always change your mind. There's no repercussions. It's fine. But once the transaction is completed, you are required and you actually purchase the shares, which you obviously wanted to do because you set this limit order to begin with. And you can do when the limit order expires. And so you can say, okay, I want to do it until tomorrow, or I want to do it until March 11th next year. And by doing this, you are holding up 30, as an example, if you were to do 200 shares of a limit order for PepsiCo, you are setting aside $30,000 for the purpose of purchasing PepsiCo. Now, this might happen tomorrow, next week, the 1st of March, January, you just don't know. So you're setting that money aside for the possibility of purchasing PepsiCo at $150. Now I'm going to show you an example of how this could look like if you were to sell a cash secured put on PepsiCo for the same price of $150. And the way that you do that, you go into your brokerage and you do have to have options trading turned on, because I believe most brokerages will have that functionality by default turned off. So just kind of a hint there. If you don't have options trading on, you will need to go into your brokerage and request access for options trading. So in order to do this, you're going to go into your brokerage and you're going to pull up the options chain or whatever you want to call it here. And in this case, I'm using Robinhood. It's a pretty simple brokerage. There's people love it or they hate it, and whatever. For me, I think it's fine. The UI is actually really good. I actually don't mind it, but I know some people have strong opinions on which brokerage they use. For me, I don't really care. It doesn't really matter as much to me. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you a few different examples of what this could look like. So remember when you set the limit order, we could set, for it to go until tomorrow or good till close, which was March 11th. It would have expired on March 11th. The difference here is with a cash secured put, you set the terms and conditions. Okay, because you are looking to buy the shares and you get to determine at what price and at what time period, what time frame. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, I want to buy shares of PepsiCo and I am willing to buy it in the future. And let's take a look and see what kind of options are available to us. So for example, if we were to look at, buying it here in January 17th, and if we were to look at the share price of 150, so if we were to obligate ourselves to buy shares of PepsiCo at $150 on January 17th, what we could do is, let's say, for example, we wanted to do that same, two contracts, and each contract represents 100 shares, right? Remember with the limit order, I entered in 200. By putting in 2 contracts, that is the equivalent of 200 shares. Okay, so just so that we're on the same page there. And if you were to do this, if you were to say, hey, I would like to buy shares of PepsiCo at $150, I'm willing to buy it until January 17th. And in order to do that, someone is going to pay you to make that transaction, and they're going to pay you a credit of $206 or $1.03 per contract. And so you can take a look at this and say, okay, I am willing to do this for these under these conditions. And that'll be fine. I'm willing to do that. Or you might be thinking, you know what, $200 for obligating myself to buy shares. And remember, the difference here is with a limit order, you can close it at any time without any ramifications. You just close the order. With a cash secured put, if you're obligating yourself to pay it and the price of that contract goes up and down every single day. So if you change your mind and the contract goes up, you may actually end up losing money if you were to buy it back and close out the transaction. So this is very, very important. This is a distinct difference between a cash secure put and a limit order. With a limit order, you have a little bit more flexibility. And because of that flexibility, you're not getting the $206 to obligate yourself on this trade. So one of the benefits of a cash secured put is you're getting paid to wait. Now, some of the drawbacks, yes, there's a little bit less flexibility, but you're getting paid in return for that. So this $206 on $30,000 of collateral for a 37-day time period, you're getting paid to wait. And the cool thing is, with this trade as an example, or with this, this limit order or cash secured put, however you want to look at it, you're getting paid on an annual basis about a 7% return just to wait for the opportunity to buy PepsiCo. And I'll have the numbers here pop up on the screen, and I'll edit this in. It's a little bit more difficult when I'm screen sharing, but I'll have this pop up and it will show you that this trade specifically for today, ending on January 17th, you would get right around a 7% return. Now you might be thinking to yourself, well, Jake, I'm not really satisfied with $200. I want a little bit more for it to be worth my time. Okay, well, why don't we look at another example with February 21st? If we look at, even a month further, so 72 days out, if we were to do the same trade for 2 contracts, well, for 2 contracts, if you were to obligate yourself to wait until February 21st, you would receive a credit of $428. So not a bad return if you're planning on buying shares of the company anyways. And the same with, or very similar to the one before, you're getting right around a 7% return just by obligating yourself to buy shares of this company at, the strike price of 150 at this time frame of 72 days. Now let me show you one other example here with March. So with March, this is actually one that I just did here today. And like I said, this is something that I did. I'm probably am not going to hold this forever. If I do end up getting assigned, I don't know, I'll probably do the will and I'll probably, sell a covered call to get rid of it. But this is something that I did today. I'm not saying that this is something that you should do. I determined for myself that I was satisfied with the return. It could work out. It could absolutely blow up in my face. That's the beautiful thing with investing, is you just don't know. So I did this exact same thing that I'm showing you here today, and it worked for me. You have to decide if it works for you. So using the exact same example as the last two, if you were to do 2 contracts at this strike price here, or this limit price, it's actually a little bit incorrect. It's right around $3 or 290 or something like that is, I think, is what I got. And so if you were to do something like this, you were to sell a cash secured put for March 21st, 100 days out. In return, you would get an estimated credit of about $580. And that credit equals out to be about a 7% return annualized. So over a 365-day period, it would be annualized at around a 7% yield. So here's some things to consider. Now, I sold this cash secured put today, and in return, I received a credit, and that credit represents a 7% return on my investment. Now, I know that there's going to be some questions on this, so I'm going to touch on it here really quick. You see this limit price, you got the bid and the ask. There's a pretty big spread. Now, this spread, this bid and ask changes every single day, every single second that the market is open. So tomorrow, PepsiCo could crash, and that this limit price could jump up to, let's say $5, hypothetically. It could jump up to $5. And if it jumped up to $5, you would have a massive increase in your amount that you would have in terms of your credit. So it is really important to understand that, this bid and ask price is going to change on a daily basis. And you just have to find a price that really works for you. And what works for me is I look at the annualized return. So as I mentioned, the 7%. For me, 7%, I'm fine with 7%. Sure, if I wait tomorrow and it crashes tomorrow, I could have got a 9%. Okay, whatever. That's so be it. That's the world of investing. The woulda, shoulda, coulda, the ifs of the world. You just don't know. What if it goes up tomorrow and it goes from $3 to $2 and then your return goes to 3%? You just don't know. You have to look at the percentage and the price, and you have to make the decision for you personally. Is this worth it for me? Does it work for you? So for me, it made sense, and that is why I sold a cash secured put on PepsiCo. But most people, when they hear the term options, option selling, option buying, oh, that's risky. It's all no, it's very, very important that you understand the differences between buying an option and selling an option. When I'm selling an option, I'm not the buyer. I'm setting the terms, and I've shared videos on this in the past, and I can link a video that I made here last year. It's about a year old. It's all still applicable, but in a nutshell, the main purpose of this video is to show you, it's based off of the conversation that I had with my dad. My dad said, hey, I got some money that expired in a CD. I got the money. I don't know what to do with it. And I thought to myself, well, is there a stock that you would consider buying? Is there something that you're interested in? Instead of just going and outright buying PepsiCo at $157, why not sell a cash secured put at a lower strike price and generate an income, a credit, in the meantime, to wait, right? And if the share price on expiration is below $150, you are obligated to buy the shares at $150. So the way that works is on March 21st, if PepsiCo is at $145, you have to purchase shares of PepsiCo at $150. But you still keep your credit, the premium that you generated to begin with. Okay, so that's important. But what you have to remember is you were going to buy shares of PepsiCo anyways. So instead of buying it at 157 and then it going to 145, you bought them at 150. Okay, so it really only makes sense if you're going to buy the stock anyways. Okay, does that make sense? So don't get too tied up on, oh, but it went to 145. Well, yeah, duh. Dummy, you're going to buy it anyways at 156. So just that's kind of how I phrase it for myself. Like, duh, idiot. Like, that's how I talk to myself. But anyways, another example would be, let's say on March 21st, PepsiCo is at $151. Well, if it's at $151, the contract expires worthless and you keep the credit, the premium that you got paid up front. You get that money up front, but you are no longer obligated to buy shares of PepsiCo at $150. Now, at that point in time, what you could do is you can go and buy PepsiCo outright at $151, or you could sell another cash secured put for maybe $148. $150, $50, $140. So you just kind of repeat the process over and over again. So everybody, that is in a nutshell, a cash secured put versus a limit order buy. And before, when I was younger, I would only look at, limit orders. And I remember, years and years ago, over a decade ago, I remember having a limit order for months, like a half a year, and I kept extending it, and the money just sat there, right? And it didn't generate anything. But this way, if it makes sense and it works for you, it's a way that you can generate an income, a yield, a return while you're waiting. But the condition is, if you're going to buy the stock anyways. That's the key thing. If you're not comfortable buying the stock, don't write or sell a cash secured put. That's the golden rule. If you're unwilling to buy the shares of the stock, don't write a cash secured put. Very, very important. But it's a way that you can generate a decent income with limited to no time. It just, the work that goes into the cash secured puts and the covered calls, it's all up front. Once you figure this whole thing out and you take the time to learn it, it can really open your eyes to a new avenue, a new way of generating a little bit more income. And that's what I've done ever since I've reached Barista Fire and I'm no longer working my day job. But yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see everybody in next week's video.